You heard about the leaked climate report, didn't you?
Yes.
Even though it should have been published after the next COP. We know that it's like every 6 years only that they are doing such a report. And why do you think it should be published after the next COP? And what do you think about the fact that it was leaked?
Look, I don't know the true reason why it was leaked, but the fact is that there are probably many people that feel a sense of urgency that the situation we are in is so serious and so damaging for the prosperity of the human civilization going forward, given the pressure we have from a climate crisis, that they feel urged to do that. And I'm not surprised, but I think it's also it's interesting fact that these sort of a leaked report should have been published after COP. We are trying to manage one of the largest challenges on a global level for humanity, including the climate crisis, biodiversity challenges, all of these things, with a toolbox and economic system that is not built to support that. In a very simple terms, our economic model, market economy, which is today unquestionable totalitarian system in most of the world, the current economic model we run, market economy, it's based on two premises. It's consumption-based, continuous growth market economy. So in order to sustain the growth, we need to consume. In order to consume, we need energy, we need transportation, infrastructure, we need to move, we need a global sort of economy. Everything that politicians are promising in these COPs and all these other conferences, people in the financial industry, they laugh at. And the reason is, we know in a financial industry that one runs the economies is a short-term ability of economies to sustain themselves, provide food, shelter, wealth to nations and so on, and we invest alongside of that. So if my incentive model is to get my bonus in 1 year, I will do whatever I can to get the biggest bonus I can. Nature, sustainability, climate change, that's not my problem. Politicians can deal with that. So there is a disconnect between the economic model we run and the challenge we have, because we are trying to sort of use something that doesn't work. These premises that we are using to tackle climate change are completely unadjusted to the challenge we have. Because our economic model, the toolbox we use, it's a very short-term oriented, and it has other instruments that it wants to use to achieve results. So we are using a hammer where we need to use a precision tools to tackle climate change. So what are we trying to do is that we try to sort of amend something that is very fragile, like nature, biosystems and all of these things, with a hammer. And it doesn't work. And maybe to tackle climate change, we need to use both the screwdriver and the scissors and optician stuff, and we need to sort of be much more gentle in the way how we do this, but we are not. I'm not a wizard. I don't know, at this stage what can be done, but it's quite obvious that what we have today is not enough, and it's creating a divergence in terms of the wealth, divergence in terms of the income distribution. Socioeconomic issues are growing. I mean, 60% on people on this planet live under $15 a day. I mean, that's a fact. Now we have a climate crisis, so how are they going to deal with this? It's easy for me and you and people living in a developed world. We're privileged. But when you live under $15 a day, the ability you have to sustain yourself over time, to think about it, it's completely different.
Thinking about the annual carbon emissions of the United States, if you want to, per year, that would require areas as vast as twice the size of Texas.
I know.
There is these people that, again, they try to gain money and make money from this. What can you tell me about that?
I mean, look, we are in a space right now in the world where we are commoditizing, making fresh air a commodity, and compensating our climate debt and our anxiety by buying carbon credits that from other parts of the world to continue consuming and growing. Personally, I think it's a completely wrong approach. I don't think it's something that we should use. I don't think we have a right to commoditize nature. I don't think we have a right to commoditize seas. We don't have a right to commoditize forests. That's not the way how it should work. So you see, we are trying to solve the cancer with all kinds of medicines, but we don't want to talk about what was the cause of it. We just don't want to do it because it's too painful, because we are Gollum, we are dependent on it. It's my precious. I want to have it. It's so great. So we talk about, instead of saying, wait a second, maybe we should cut the growth down. Maybe we should have a growth globally which is 3%. Maybe people should spend more time with their kids, with their friends. Maybe we should consume less. Maybe degrowth is actually part of the solution. I'm not saying it is a de-solution, but maybe it's part of the solution. Maybe other parts of the world need to consume more. We live in Sweden, you and I. Do we need anything more? I don't think we do. But we still need something because we have this perception of what the happiness is, predefined by a narrative of market economy, that happiness is material wealth. So when I die, I'll bring all my wealth with me.
Hang on, stop. You can continue in a second. I just want to come a little bit closer. Okay. Yes, please, continue.
So I'm gonna, when I die, I'll bring all of my wealthy stuff with me. I won't. The only thing I bring with me is relationship, memories, feelings, all of these other things that are much more worth. So the question, the narrative of market economy today, you and I share and billions of people around the world, is that pursuit of happiness is to be found in material wealth. Okay. But how does that fit with climate crisis? Does it fit? No, it doesn't. So we are not talking about the pursuit of happiness in the context of material wealth and economic system that supports that. We are talking about how to cut the CO2 emissions, bury them underground, compensate them with the forest, compensate them with some other credits. But in practice, we are not changing anything. That's the biggest challenge we have. So there are two things here. One is that who's responsible and who's accountable. So there are two different sort of discussions. We are all responsible. We are all part of this. We are the system in various shapes and forms. You and I are much more part of the system than a family with 10 kids in Bangladesh because we have more material wealth to be part of the system. But who's accountable? 300 people on this planet own more capital than 3.5 billion. So if you ask me about who's accountable, so people with that kind of wealth and that kind of influence, that kind of network, they're very educated people that actually know what's going on. So if you look at the Musks and the Bezos people, what are they doing? They are basically leaving the planet Earth. They are traveling to Mars. They are planning to basically leave the place because if I understood correctly, Bezos and many others are believing there is no chance that this is going to work. So what are the rest of us who don't have $10 million for a ticket to Mars? What are we going to do? That's a big question. And their politicians are in this narrative, the market economic narrative. There are no answers to these questions. Because we need to redefine what is pursuit of happiness. What is the point? What's the meaning of this? All of this. And this is not about being hippie and going into Zen and doing yoga. This is about having a discussion, a mature discussion about, okay, this system has taken us here, what's the next step? Where are we going from here? The solutions we present in COP, in businesses, in discussions, solutions grow out of the economic system that is not sustainable. So solutions cannot be sustainable. They are just shadows. They are just packages, marketing, a good feeling. We are doing something. It's symbolic. We are moving. It's going to work. But in principle, it's another way of colonizing people that don't have opportunity to fight for themselves and say, you can't take credits from my forest. I'm sorry. Imagine the situation, and this could actually practically happen. Imagine that 3 billionaires around the world buy all the carbon offsets from forest. It's a good bet. And then after a couple of years, they can start selling them back to the States because we live in a free market economy. So you and I will have to buy our offsets from Bezos to be able to travel to Germany or to Denmark. Is that the world we want? I don't know if people actually understand where we're going. I don't think they understand how fragile the system is and how our democracies, the furnace of civilization is. Because if you experience, as I did during the war in Yugoslavia, how fragile it is, then you understand also what it means to fight for it. Privacy issues we had with all the big IT companies. Do you see the protests around the world? Do you see the queues outside here in Stockholm? Big, storming the governments about saying, guys, what are you doing with my data? No. Because we are complacent, we are happy, we can drink, we can eat, we can travel. Life is not that bad. So we are defending that. So what your question, what is happening in COP? We are defending our lifestyle in COP. We are defending our market economy in COP. We are not tackling climate change. We are just saying that we continue consuming, and while we consume, we're going to offset this. We don't care about others. We're just going to offset this. And this is going to be a great new jobs.